Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, Coins Dealer. Today, we're diving into one of the most iconic yet often overlooked coins, the 1-cent coin. So, grab your pennies and let's get started. The story of the 1-cent coin begins long before the United States even existed as a country. In fact, small denominations of currency have been in use since ancient times, but the specific history of the 1-cent coin starts in the early 18th century. Let's go back to 1793, the year the United States minted its first official coins. Under the guidance of the U.S. Mint, led by the first mint director, David Rittenhouse, the nation produced the first ever cent, known as the flowing hair cent. This coin featured Lady Liberty with flowing hair on one side and a wreath on the other. This early design was revolutionary in many ways, marking the birth of U.S. coinage. The 1-cent coin weighed about 13.48 grams, and while it was meant to reflect the nation's economic growth, it was still a rare sight for many Americans at the time. Fast forward to the mid-1800s, and the 1-cent coin started to undergo changes. Over the next several decades, the design of the penny evolved multiple times, including the introduction of the braided hair cent in 1839 and the famous Indian head cent in 1859. The Indian head cent, designed by James B. Longacre, became one of the most iconic and beloved designs in U.S. history. It depicted a Native American headdress on the obverse and an oak wreath on the reverse, representing America's strength and unity. In 1909, a monumental change took place. The U.S. Mint introduced a new design, the Lincoln cent. This coin, designed by Victor David Brenner, featured Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, marking the first time a real person's image appeared on a U.S. coin. The reverse side, with a simple wheat motif, earned the coin the nickname Wheat Penny. Today, the 1-cent coin, or penny as we know it, features the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, but with an updated reverse design. Over the years, pennies have undergone slight modifications, including the change from the wheat penny to the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959 and the more recent Union Shield design in 2010. The Union Shield design, symbolizing the strength of the American Union, is now a permanent feature on the reverse side of the penny. But the question is, why are we still using this small coin in a world that's moving toward digital payments and larger denominations? Despite its rich history, the penny's value today is a matter of debate. In terms of purchasing power, it's hard to find much you can buy with just 1 cent. A single penny is barely enough to get a gumball or a piece of candy, and many stores have stopped accepting pennies due to their low value. But what about the metal in the penny? Well, here's an interesting fact. The cost of producing a penny has actually outpaced its value. In 2020, it cost the U.S. Mint about 1.76 cents to produce a single penny. That means the U.S. government is losing money on every penny it mints. But not all pennies are created equal. While most pennies today are worth 1 cent, some older pennies can be worth significantly more. Rare pennies from certain years, with unique errors or historical significance, can command impressive prices on the market. Take, for instance, the 1943 copper penny. In the middle of World War II, the U.S. Mint switched from copper to steel to conserve resources for the war effort. But a few copper pennies were accidentally produced that year. One of these rare coins sold for over $1 million in 2010. Then, there's the 1909 SVDB Lincoln cent, one of the most sought-after pennies in numismatic circles. This coin, with its distinctive VDB mint mark on the reverse, can fetch prices upwards of $100,000 depending on its condition. Given the cost of production and the small purchasing power, many have questioned why the penny is still in circulation. In fact, there have been numerous debates in Congress over the years about whether we should eliminate the penny altogether. Some argue that eliminating the penny could save the U.S. government millions of dollars annually. On the other hand, many people, especially collectors, have an emotional attachment to the penny, and others argue that its disappearance could disrupt the economy in unexpected ways. While the future of the penny remains uncertain, its legacy is undeniable. For over 2 centuries, the 1-cent coin has not only played a role in daily transactions but has also become a symbol of American history, from its designs to its place in the economy. And for coin collectors, the penny remains one of the most fascinating and accessible coins to collect. So, next time you pick up a penny, take a moment to think about all the history and value packed into that small coin. It's more than just a penny, it's a piece of American history and, for some, a potentially valuable treasure. If you enjoyed learning about the 1-cent coin, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more fascinating deep dives into history, collectibles, and the world of currency. And hey, keep an eye out, your next penny might just be a hidden gem. This script blends the historical significance and modern value of the 1-cent coin with captivating visuals and intriguing facts, keeping the audience engaged while educating them about its evolution and potential worth. The U.S. Mint was established under the Coinage Act of 1792, which authorized the creation of the first official U.S. coins. Among those was the copper cent, which would eventually evolve into what we call the penny today. The original cent was made of pure copper and featured a representation of Lady Liberty. The first penny was relatively large, weighing over 13 grams. It was quite a bit bigger than the modern penny we know today. Fast forward to 1856, and the U.S. Mint introduced the first official design of the modern penny. This penny featured a shield on the reverse side and was made of a copper-nickel alloy. It wasn't until 1909 that we saw the most iconic penny design of all, the Lincoln cent. In 1909, the U.S. Mint honored the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, by featuring his portrait on the obverse of the penny. This was the first time a U.S. coin featured a real person instead of a symbol. On the reverse, the coin displayed 2 wheat ears, which is why it's often called the wheat penny. Throughout the decades, the penny has gone through several redesigns, but it has always remained a constant in U.S. currency. Today, we see the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side, a design that's been in use since 1959. Now that we know a bit about the penny's rich history, let's talk about its value. The penny is the lowest denomination of U.S. currency and has a value of just 1 cent, or 1 cent. But despite its small value, it has a fascinating economic story. 1 cent might not seem like much today, but back in the early 1900s, it was worth a lot more. For example, in 1913, 1 penny could buy you a loaf of bread. With inflation, the purchasing power of a penny has decreased drastically, which brings us to an interesting point: the cost of producing the penny itself. In recent years, the cost to produce a penny has actually exceeded its face value. In fact, as of 2023, it costs the U.S. government approximately 2.1 cents to make just 1 penny. That means for every penny minted, taxpayers are losing money. Why, then, does the U.S. Mint keep producing pennies? Well, it's partly due to tradition, and partly because the penny still plays an important role in everyday transactions, even if it costs more to make than it's worth. While a penny might not seem like it's worth much, the total number of pennies in circulation is absolutely mind-blowing. So, let's dive into the numbers. As of 2025, there are more than 150 billion pennies in circulation in the United States. That's right, 150 billion. These pennies have a combined face value of roughly $1.5 billion. But if you look closely, the true worth of these pennies can be much more. Collectors have long been interested in rare pennies, and some of these coins are worth a lot more than just 1 cent. For example, the 1943 copper penny is one of the most famous rare pennies in history. During World War II, pennies were made from steel rather than copper due to copper shortages. However, a few copper pennies were accidentally struck in 1943, and today, these rare coins can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Another famous example is the 1909 SVDB Lincoln cent. This penny, which features the initials of the engraver, Victor David Brenner, on the reverse side, is highly sought after by collectors. It can be worth anywhere from several hundred to several $1,000s depending on its condition. Pennies from certain years, especially those with rare minting errors, can fetch high prices in the numismatic market. Some pennies, in pristine condition, are worth far more than you might expect. Now you might be wondering, what does the future hold for the penny? Will it continue to be minted, or will it one day be phased out entirely? There have been ongoing discussions about whether the penny should be eliminated, especially given its rising production costs. Some argue that the penny is no longer needed, while others believe it still serves an important role in our economy and daily lives. As of now, the penny remains a part of U.S. currency, but its future remains uncertain. Would we really miss it if it were gone? That's a debate for another day. So, there you have it, a quick dive into the history, value, and surprising worth of the U.S. 1-cent coin. From its humble beginnings in the 1790s to its role in today's economy, the penny may be small, but it's certainly not insignificant. Do you think the penny should continue to be minted, or should we bid farewell to it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video interesting, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more deep dives into the fascinating world of currency. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.